Hi everyone, this is Adrian.
And I'm Carrie.
And for this episode of the Scent Library, we are going to talk about the Tom Ford experience. So, introduce us to Tom Ford.
Okay, just a brief little background on Tom Ford. His actual education was in architecture and film. But when he set out to work and stuff, he went with a fashion company, Chloe. Eventually moved on to Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent, and he is actually where he kind of gained a big momentum in his own career was with the marketing campaigns for Yves Saint Laurent's Opium and M7 Oud Absolute, which is one of the early Western oud fragrances for like designer fragrances. Then he went on to start his own fashion and fragrance company in about 2005, and that was what led to his first big hit, which is what we see in front of us right now, which is Black Orchid Eau de Parfum.
Okay.
So this one came out in 2006. And this line has a couple of flankers to it, but it's fairly concise in things that you would expect. It is an amber floral classification of a fragrance, but I feel like it's kind of gourmand.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it has top notes of truffle, blackcurrant, jasmine, ylang ylang, gardenia, and middle notes, orchid, spices, fruity notes, lotus, base notes of Mexican chocolate, patchouli, vanilla, incense, amber, sandalwood, vetiver, and musk. So all of those things together, that's a lot. I think they cover several bases, so it's a rich, complex fragrance, and it has sort of gourmand and floral notes to it.
Yes.
So you liked this one.
Oh yes, it smells very yummy. It smells also like what I would imagine as a black orchid would smell like, although we don't know if it really has a scent.
There's some conjecture about whether orchids really have a smell in perfumery, or if that's just kind of an illusion where they put things together like what you would want a black orchid to smell like.
Yeah.
So moving on to some of the flankers, let's move on to a little bit of a conundrum here, which is the Eau de Toilette. Now it's kind of strange that they would start out with an EDP and then move to Eau de Toilette later, but that's what they did. This one is 2015. And this one is marketed as a fragrance for women, although I never knew that, and I was wearing it for a few years thinking it was unisex, so whatever, I guess, people can wear whatever they want to wear. This one is the 2015 version, and then why don't we just go ahead and make it confusing and say about the 2023 version. And how do you tell the difference? Because they look exactly the same. Well, the only way you can tell the difference is the batch numbers. And so what I've done is just move the little tag thing around here backwards on the older one so I can tell which bottle is which, because the bottles look the same. But the notes are not the same. No. They kept in the 2015 version, it has truffle, ylang ylang, blackcurrant, bergamot, orchid, tuberose, fruity notes, patchouli, incense, sandalwood, vanilla, vetiver, and lotus. It comes off smelling rich, kind of dusty, powdery, maybe sort of like on the dry, but not like, barren dry sort of a scent, and I think it's really good for fall and winter. That's when I would always wear it. The newer version, the only thing they kept from the original was patchouli, orchid, tuberose, and the other notes then changed. They put in plum, clove, pepper, and that's it. So they pared the notes way down. But I think when I smell them, although I can tell the difference on a strip going back and forth, the earlier one is more complex, more gourmand. It still has a sort of a drier smell to it, which isn't like the gourmand that's in the original one, which kind of almost makes you feel like, ooh, that tastes, or that smells like I want to eat it. This one smells like a dry, sort of a powdery smell version of that. And it's really nice.
Yeah, the later one smells more patchouli.
Yeah, more patchouli, more earthy smelling, and a little bit less gourmand. Although I would say that the plum was a really nice addition to it that helped to round out where they took away like the truffle, the black currant,
the ilang.
Yeah, the that sort of a thing. So I'll miss those things in the new one here going forward, but I'm glad I have an older bottle of it that's pretty much full so that I can still enjoy the old version of it for a while. Okay, so now let's move on to the last of these. Although it wasn't the last one produced, it's just the last one we're going to talk about. This is the Parfum. This came out in 2020, and it is going back kind of more towards the gourmand. It has truffle and plum, rum, lang lang, black orchid, and patchouli. So this one has a really sort of a rich feel to it, a rich as in like food, gourmand rich.
Yes.
And, you know, rich as in it smells expensive.
Yeah. And it's the only one that's been marketed as unisex.
Interesting, because the profile really is the same. I think
Yeah.
you can smell any of these. If you know one of these and you smell any of the others, you can definitely tell that it's, you know, that it's fitting into that.
They're all very similar.
Yeah. They all carry a very similar sort of a feel to them, but then there's the differences in it that kind of, you know, heads you in one direction or another. But if you had to only buy one of these, which one would it be?
I would choose the Eau de Parfum or this Parfum.
Or the Parfum?
Yeah.
And why?
Well, it's because the Parfum is marketed as unisex.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, yes, I would like that. Plus the Eau de Parfum, I like it because of the truffle and the Mexican chocolate.
Yeah, that really is a nice set of notes there. I think the Eau de Parfum is a little more gourmand. This one is very reminiscent of that, but kind of goes in a different direction. And the way it wears is a little bit different too. It hangs a little bit closer as far as the scent cloud, but it leaves a nice scent trail.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them are good. Yeah, I think if I had to pick, I would probably go with the original of the two Eau de Toilettes, just because that was my first experience with this line, and all the others smell like kind of a one-off from it in a good way. But I just am kind of partial to the original Eau de Toilette, the 2015 one. Okay. Now let's move on to Costa Azzurra. Okay. Costa Azzurra is an aromatic fougere. It came out for 2022. This is the Parfum version. There are several others. I believe there's an Acqua version, possibly an Eau de Toilette, I'm not sure, but an EDP version of it, I'm sure. And they all follow the same profile. It's just that they change a few notes, and the Parfum has a lot less notes. This one, the Parfum, has top notes of Italian lemon, middle of cypress and oak, and base notes amber and labdanum. It smells pretty complex to me. I think there's probably something more in there that they just don't really talk about, but I haven't really sat and tried to figure it out. The other ones I don't have. I've been trying to find some of the earlier versions of it, the like the Acqua and the Eau de Parfum versions of it, and it's a little hard to get a hold of. What do you think of this one?
Oh, I like it for its cypress scent.
Yeah.
You know, it's strong on the cypress.
Yeah.
And
it has
cypress,
something, a nice sea breeze, cypressy sort of a smell, without like the ocean or the water, you know, sort of overtones. But it has that sort of a smell like the trees that you would expect around like a Mediterranean coast or something.
Yes.
So yeah, this one's really nice. So would you say that, I mean, usually parfums are things like for night and for cooler weather and stuff. What do you think about that as far as this one goes?
I think this one would be for just lukewarm weather, like 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Around that.
Yeah. Not necessarily cool weather. And what about day or night?
I would say daytime.
Yeah. This is a nice attention getter, daytime sort of a smell, something that really, it's, I don't know, it's just, it feels right for a day scent. It has, you know, just sort of a bright feel to it, but bright but soft. Okay, let's move on to something else. Now this one is a pretty classic Tom Ford. Not so much classic as in like throwback from way back when, but just sort of, this is sort of a core Tom Ford type of a fragrance, Grey Vetiver. And this one came out in 2009, so it is one of his earlier scents. And it has notes of grapefruit, orange blossom, and sage for the top. Middle, orris root, pimento, and nutmeg. And base notes, of course, vetiver, woody notes, and oak moss and amber. The really nice thing with this is it smells fresh right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And some of that actually still lingers around through the thing. You can still catch a little bit of the kind of the fruitier notes along the top. But I definitely like the base notes. What about you?
I like it for the vetiver scent. You really smell the vetiver.
Yeah.
And it's a little on the citrus side.
Yeah.
You know, because of the Italian lemon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that combination smells really good.
Yeah. Yeah. This one, if you're a person who doesn't like vetiver, you might like this. If you're a person who loves vetiver, I think you definitely will like this.
Yes.
If you haven't already smelled it, get your nose on this. It's really good. You can often pick it up for pretty reasonable prices through some discounters and stuff. But this is a nice staple for your wardrobe. It's a really appropriate for a lot of different situations, like at work or casual outings, you know, going to like late lunch, early dinner type of things where you want to have a little fragrance on or something, or some sort of like meetings, gatherings of people and stuff. It's not overwhelming. It's just a nice, classy sort of a understated, but definitely classy scent.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to go to another one since we were talking just a little bit before about Mediterranean. This one is Mandarino de Amalfi Acqua. There's also an EDP version of this. The notes are pretty much the same between the two. This one's just sort of a lighter version, and I'm not sure if this one actually came out. No, this one actually was a later version. The original one, the EDP, came out in 2014, and this one came out 3 years later as the Acqua. And interestingly, the Mandarino de Amalfi Eau de Parfum doesn't have mandarin as a note listed, whereas this one does. It also has bergamot and thyme that the other one does not. Otherwise, the notes between the two are all the same. So if you already have Mandarino de Amalfi Eau de Parfum, you don't need to try to find this one. If you already have this one, you probably don't need to find the other one. It's not really, I think, a thing you'd want to necessarily have both. One or the other will do you. I think this one's just a lighter, little bit more fruity, effervescent sort of a version of the EDP. This one definitely projects a lot in the first hour or so of wearing it, and is probably maybe a little bit of a safer bet if you're going into really hotter weather. Like say you're on vacation in Puerto Vallarta and it's really hot and you want to put this on to go out to dinner. You won't be choking out the other tables near you. Whereas the EDP, you might, but the EDP would probably do you better in cooler temperatures and stuff, and more closed-in spaces where you're not going to need quite that much projection. So anyway, this one has notes of mandarin, grapefruit, mint, bergamot, tarragon, black currant, and then middle notes of orange blossom, lemon leaf, basil, clary sage, jasmine, and black pepper, and then base of musk, vetiver, labdanum, and amber. So fairly complex, although mostly I smell a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go now to Noir Extreme. So in the Tom Ford Noir lines, there's Tom Ford Noir, there's Tom Ford Noir Extreme, and then there's Noir Noir. So we're going to talk about Noir Extreme EDP. This is a 2018 release. It has top notes of cardamom, nutmeg, saffron, and then mandarin and neroli. So it has some spicy, floral, citrusy openings. And then it has an interesting middle. It has rose, orange blossom, jasmine, mastic, and kulfi.
Yes.
You know what kulfi is.
Yes, it's a treat made out of condensed milk.
Yeah.
And so this one has a milky flavor to it.
Yeah. So I would have had no idea what kulfi was. I had to look it up.
Yes.
But when you pointed it out to me when you were wearing it, I could smell what you were talking about. It's identifiable if you know what to sort of think about. But yeah, it's a really nice note. It almost has a sort of a pistachio sort of a
Yes.
smell to it, or almondy sort of a smell to it. One that I really liked a lot. So it has like cardamom, nutmeg, and the mandarin, and then the vanilla amber, woody notes, and sandalwood, and the kulfi. It's a really nice blend of spicy, a little bit of floral, some kind of almost gourmandy things, but really classy type of a scent. And the name really kind of says it. It's a sort of a evening type of a scent.
Yes.
So, okay, let's move on to the next one. Now, if there's one thing that I keep finding with Tom Ford is that they move things around a lot with certain things that they release. And he has his, the special blends or exclusive blends, just all kinds of different levels of the perfume and stuff. And sometimes one that starts out a big success in one line, they'll change it up a little bit and put it into another line and stuff to kind of, capitalize off of its earlier fame in another line, usually discontinuing it. So there's usually several different versions of these that are similar, but they tweak them in between lines to kind of justify the different price changes or something like that. With Ombre Leather, there was a 2016 version of it, and then this one is a 2018 version, and then there is a 2021 Parfum version. With this one, the 2018 version, it's a fairly simple note breakdown: cardamom, leather, jasmine, amber, moss, and patchouli. So when you smell this, what are the main things that you notice?
You smell the leather and the amber. Yes.
Yeah. I notice a little bit of the oak moss smell to it, and it gives it a sort of a little bit of a, I don't know if I'd call it a rough edge or something, but it makes it so that it feels kind of more masculine than feminine. But I've definitely seen girls rock this one, and it comes off really, really well. To me, really, it smells a lot like a new leather jacket, new expensive leather jacket.
Yes.
And or other kinds of like leather, like shoes or belts or something like that, or a new leather bag. It just has that straightforward, good leather sort of a smell to it. The other things that are in there, really, I don't notice them as individually, but they seem to kind of support the leather smell so that there's, something a little bit more complex there. But as far as which one to get, well, you can't get the 2016 anymore, but you can get either the Ombre Leather EDP, which is what this one is, the 2018 version, or the Parfum version. The Parfum version has pretty much the same stuff. It just adds violet leaf and cedar, a little bit of iris, and some tobacco to it. So it can be a nice addition, but honestly, I think if you have one, you don't necessarily need the other, because what you really get out of both of them is the expensive leather smell. Okay. Now let's move on to a couple from a pretty exclusive line that he put out, the Exotic Woods. This is Bois Marocain. Now there was a previous release of this that has a fairly complex note breakdown. Then they reformulated it in 2022, and that's what this one is. And they don't really break down the notes as extensively. They just kind of group a bunch of the woods in it into woody notes. But this one is woody notes, pink pepper, and Atlas cedar. whereas the previous version of it from 2009 had vetiver, patchouli, and then incense, bergamot, and thuja, which were separate notes that they noted other than different things that they just kind of probably combined as woody notes. This one is a sort of a dry, woody sort of a smell with kind of supporting notes from some of those other things in there that helps round it out, that makes it doesn't smell so dusty. What are your thoughts on this one?
It smells like old books.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, but fragrant, not dusty.
Like dusty.
That makes you want to sneeze.
Right, yeah. But it is a sort of a dry smell, not syrupy or something like that.
Yeah, like old books.
Yeah. And like maybe old wood that's dry, but not like, a sappy sort of a wood.
No.
Yeah, it's really, it's a nice smell. I don't think it's one of those that like everybody would like. I don't think there's anything really hard to like about it. It's just one that some people it'll really appeal to, and other people it'll just be sort of like, But if you smell it and you like it, there aren't many other things that are like this. And so it's a good one to go ahead and grab if you can find it. And that leads us into another one from that same series, which is one of my favorites, Ebene Fume.
Yes.
Okay. And this one is really known for its notes of Palo Santo, which is a kind of a fragrant wood that's used as like an incense. This one has notes of Palo Santo, black pepper, violet leaf, incense, leather, labdanum, cade oil, papyrus, rose, resin, ebony tree, and gaiac wood. All of those things in there kind of are like really supportive, but the main thing you notice is incense, Palo Santo, and probably I would say maybe the resins and the labdanum. What are your thoughts on this one?
This one smells like incense and wood to me.
Yeah. I remember when I was in China one time and I was in a temple there, they had incense burning, and I would bet it must have been Palo Santo, because when I smelled this the first time, it brought back immediate memories of being in that temple. And I just literally, in my mind, was like right back there. So it's a very distinctive scent profile in this. Now, what would you say about wearing this in most situations? Would you wear this if you're getting on an airplane?
You should beware if you wear it in tight spaces.
Yeah.
Because it is strong and it lasts long.
Yeah.
So
it is. It's definitely a strong, lots of projection, lasts for quite a long time. Some things, you know how you need to spray like lots of sprays, like one of my favorite online perfume reviewers, Curly. She talks about putting like 16 or 30 sprays on or something like that.
16.
Don't do that with this. You may not be able to breathe.
You will fumigate.
Yeah, you will definitely fumigate the room with it if you can even breathe to walk, because it's really strong. This is one of those that you don't really go nose blind on.
No.
I can still, like when I put this one on, I can smell it 8 hours later, which is a testament to the scents being strong and you not going nose blind too.
Okay.
So yeah, this one is a really great one. There is another one in this range of scents that is a sandalwood scent, but I don't have that one, so we're not going to go there. But you can look them up online and take a look at that one. Now, this one is another Tom Ford classic, and it came out in 2007. This one's maybe one of his most well-known ones, I would say.
Oud Wood?
Oud Wood, yeah. And this one has notes of agar wood, which is oud, Brazilian rosewood, sandalwood, cardamom, Szechuan pepper, vanilla, vetiver, tonka bean, and amber. I don't smell most of those things in it. And you know what else I don't really smell in it?
The perfume itself.
The perfume itself. I'm sorry, every time when we do this one in a group of anything, I always have to beat on it because, this was one that I bought kind of early on in my fragrance journey. And sadly, I don't love it. It just seems like it's weak.
Yes. It disappears quickly.
It's nice.
Yes.
But it's just, you have to spray a lot on and it doesn't last.
Yeah, so you have to carry the bottle with you.
You do. You pretty much have to carry the bottle with you. It's not even a nose blind thing. You put it on, it smells nice, but an hour or two later, you walk up to somebody and say, "Can you smell it?" And they're like, "No." I can't smell it. I'll spray it on something and an hour or two later I come back and to smell it like a shirt or something. No, can't smell it. Some things I can smell cologne on days later. This one, a couple hours and I don't feel like I can smell it. They say that earlier batches of this were a lot stronger. I don't know if since L'Oreal took it over, they started cheaping out on something or whatever, but this is not one that I would really recommend that anybody buy. What I would recommend is if you smell this and you like it, get one of the clones that are out there, and we'll talk about that one day. But there's several clones out there that have the exact same scent profile or very close, and they actually have a stronger scent profile, they last, they project, and they're about a fourth the price.
Yes.
So, well, that's it for today.
Okay.
If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below for us and we'll try to answer them for you.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.